Hello again.
Yeah, we're back.
Welcome back.
Malissia was
Welcome
just,
back to the Source for Success with Susie and Malissia, having conscious conversations in collective connections.
yeah.
Yes. We were just talking about the butterfly. So many, and we even have pictures of it in our community post of, what was it said in Richard Bach's Illusions? What is in the Messiah's Handbook about a butterfly?
I can't remember.
No, I just put it on there, and it was, the caterpillar, what the caterpillar calls the end of life is what the butterfly or the master calls a butterfly. And what I see that is what the butterfly calls the beginning of life. And
Yeah.
it sounds really beautiful and it sounds so wonderful in that stage. But if you were somebody who deals with butterflies and loves insects and you actually sit there in there and see it go from the caterpillar into its chrysalis stage into the butterfly. There's a big process. And
Yeah.
that process is janky. And I know because I was just telling Susie that sometimes we often in our spiritual pieties can often come across really holier than thou and pious and as if we've got it all figured out and we don't want we hide all the dirt and the darkness in the background of like the process that is getting us there and also that we're going through if we're genuinely on a deep spiritual journey it's messy and what's interesting is you can be Frankenstein butterfly where you're maybe in your chrysalis stage one moment and then you're back to kind of having a caterpillar stage where you got a leg out, and then you're over here and you got a wing kind of coming out over here, and you're a big mess. And when you're in that big mess, it's because you're just like, holy hell, and the devil wouldn't fight me so hard if I wasn't meant for so much, but what could be worth this? And then yet when you're in peace, when you're really coming together in your soup of self, when you're in that primordial soup of transmutation and transformation of your caterpillar self seems to have completely dissolved and you're not yet a butterfly, but your wholeness. And you're sitting there with God and you're just like, oh, and you're in awe and reverence and wonderful. And you can feel the butterfly you already emerging, whether you just feel yourself breaking out and you don't know what's yet to come because it's the unknown. And then the very next day you wake up and you're a caterpillar again.
Exactly. And the thing is, there's no going back. You said to me several months ago, when we started this journey into the 40 days and 40 nights, I'm going to warn you, it's not all fun. And I knew it wasn't going to be all fun because I've on my spiritual journey for several years now. But holy cow. you know, and there is no going back. And it's like the the butterfly is starting to emerge. And Malissia just said, you pull a wing out and you think, yeah, you start to stretch and you think, oh, the next thing there's
Oh,
a bird flying over with a big beak. And of course, this proverbial bird, the predator, is our own mind. That's all it is, ever. It's our own mind. But, the more we step into this wholeness, this integrity, we step into the heart space, the mind starts to fight and it throws all it has at us. All of the past comes up and it says, no, you can't do that because blah, blah, blah. You're going to fail. You're gonna, look like a weirdo. You're gonna get, gosh, hung on the cross. And we've got all of this coming at us, and we literally want to crawl back into that cocoon. But the cocoon is now too small. When you're trying to scrunch yourself up and not be seen, and it's impossible. It's
or you
impossible.
want to return home and you want to be the caterpillar and you're like, I'll be okay with crawling, I'm good. And it's like it's not even an option. And that sense of wonderment of what will be the unknown. While the ego's throwing at you all kinds of known and it's telling you where you messed up, how much you messed up, and there it isn't possibly your path. And then the fears of what's to come and the criticisms of the ego mind, it can be enough to really want to tear your hair out, and guilt and shame and all kinds of things come up, and yet it's all coming up to be thrown out, to be one accepted
Mm.
and to be released and surrendered, not thrown out in the sense of just buried away, but in the sense of let me release and surrender from acceptance. And that's that primordial soup is like because in that moment the whole of the caterpillar's in there. The whole of the caterpillar is what is dissolving into that soup that's got to then emerge a butterfly. But it needs it all. It needs it all. It needs all of your experiences, all the things you've been through, all of the journey, the good, the bad, the heartbreak, the embarrassments, all of that's in there, because then it just makes all your colors all the more beautiful. You'll be the most beautiful, incredibly effervescent butterfly, because all of that creates the you you're becoming, that you genuinely already are as God is you. But when
Mm,
you're in it, I
yeah.
tell you, I am
Yes.
not going to pretend that it's easy. I'm not going to pretend that you're not sitting there. Like I told Susie today, when I woke up and I had my difficulty, I was like, it is biblical. And my friend was like, is it Old Testament? I hope it's New Testament. And I was like, well, here's the thing. It felt very Old Testament, but at least I had a New Testament God that I was reaching for, that oneness, that Christ consciousness of all is already well, all is
Mm,
well. I just got to get to that energy and remind myself into that acceptance and reverence. But I got to get there, and I had to crawl through the dark and touch upon that and bring the light back into myself. And that's where it felt like I had a leg out on this side, I had a wing on Jane Killis, and a big old mess. If you were looking at me, you'd be like, "Ooh, that's a Frankenstein butterfly
yeah.
caterpillar situation going on there," and it feels like it. And
Mm.
sometimes it feels miraculous and amazing, and other times you're like, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah, I was going to say, like you get into that place of unity, of bliss and oneness and wholeness, and you think, "Oh, this is it. This is it." But then something will happen out there, and immediately the mind is on it, and you're sitting there thinking, like, where did that bliss go? And until we can actually get out of the mind, and the mind doesn't mean, the mind isn't against us. Well, maybe it is.
Mine
The
sometimes
mind,
is.
the mind is trying to protect us, the us that we thought we were,
Yeah.
not the us that we now know we are. The mind is a history of the past. It can't navigate into somewhere we've never been before. And this is where the fear comes up, because, as you said, Malissia, we're stepping into the unknown, and we've got all of these questions. We're used to having control. We're used to being in the known and taking those steps and doing the work. And now we're in faith.
Yes.
We're in knowingness,
Yes.
which is unknowingness, kind of.
Yes.
But, it offers so much. And I know that when I'm in this unity, it is so blissful. It feels like home. It brings tears to my eyes. It is so blissful. So I know this is the space that we all came from, and where we came into this life remembering that it was there, or knowing it was there before it got trained out of us. And I'm not saying not blaming anybody. It was our journey to come in from unity, to live this world and to play in manifestation or creation, and to experience this physical world from separation, but then to come back together and
Absolutely.
know who we are. So,
And even reflect it back to each other, like we're doing with Susie and I are doing it with each other right now, and with you, whoever's watching. And what's beautiful, all you wonderful, wonderful, blissful beloveds out in the world, is, it's not easy. We're not going to pretend it is. And, we're going to make it real and bring it home. Is, you're sitting there in bliss and you're just like, oh my God, nothing can bring me out of this. And the bill collector calls, or, the furnace goes out, or, your cat ran away. I mean, real things happen. Or, you can't feed your kids, or you lose your job, or a loved one dies. Oh yeah, you're not in bliss at that moment. Things, you go right back into the cocoon, or right back into a caterpillar. You're like, what happened to all my spiritual growth? I thought I was so there. And then life happens again.
yeah.
But you just keep taking steps up, and you just put one foot in front of the other. And I noticed today that I dealt with a janky situation, a fear-based pain, traumatic situation differently than I would have a month ago, and different than I did 5 months ago when my best friend passed away, different than I would have 2 years ago. that same
Mm.
situation with those people I dreamt about. And with that scenario, I would have dealt with 5 years ago. So the growing stages are there, and it's beautiful how I embraced it differently today and loved myself in unity and oneness. But I had to get there, and I'm not pretending it's easy, but that's the
Mm.
emerging butterfly. And
Yeah.
that's what's exciting about all this is that we're not going to pretend it's easy, but we're going to have fun and we're going to laugh about it on our way in our journey. And we're going
Yeah.
to love on ourselves. I'm going to love on you. And we're going to have really fun conversations about how this process is really making you and molding you into the beauty that you are.
Yeah. And the more times that we can connect in that unity, in that bliss, the more it becomes our state of being. The more familiar it becomes, our body starts to remember those frequencies and it starts to work for us, and supporting us to be there. And the more that we're actually there, coming back to our state of being creates our world. Life starts to get easier. And, you shared your journey this morning. You were in the dark for much
Yeah.
less than what you would have been, a month ago or 2 years ago. And I'm noticing the same thing. Yes, stuff still comes up because there's still an outside world that I'm still getting hooked into belief in separation. However, those moments are much shorter, and I'm feeling more and more into my true self as the creator and knowing my unity.
And more empowered, right, Susie? Like
Hmm.
the dark has less power over me to buy into it and believe it and to stay there for any amount of time and know to reach for the light and be to know the truth of myself, to know the truth of God that I am,
Hmm.
and to not give up till I get there and not to buy into the lie and to not allow myself to feel as if I deserve less and to
Hmm.
know that I deserve more. So I'm empowered now to
Yeah.
reach for the light. I'm empowered to
Yes.
be in unity. I'm empowered to be in my oneness because I deserve it. It's the truth of me.
Yeah.
I've certainly worked hard for it. And to love myself enough back into that alignment, into the butterfly self. So to all you butterflies out there,
Love
this
yourselves
is
whole.
resonating with you.
Yeah. Love yourselves whole. You know, wholeness exists right now. There is nothing withheld, and you can't get there from fear. So make the moments of fear as short as you can and jump back into wholeness, into love. And it starts in here with the self.
Yeah, and we're here for you if you want to reach out and comment and be loved on in any way. We're here to cheer you on and cheer ourselves on. And I'm cheering Susie on, and she's cheering me on because you do need your tribe. You do need your conscious buddies and love buddies in on this with you because it's not an easy path. The world isn't necessarily even in agreement that this is a necessary path. It would much rather sell you something to just distract you away from it. And yet this, when you hit it, it's a jackpot every time. Every time you get into that bliss state, whether it's through meditation or you get into alignment in the oneness of the moment and stillness, and you can just feel that wholeness and it becomes palpable and it just resonates all over you. There is a sense of deep reverence and love that nothing in the world can replace and you can't go buy it. It's already within you. And when you hit it, you genuinely feel like you just won the lottery. So go for it every day. Go for it as much as possible. Live there until it becomes what you can bless the world with too. So we love you and we are grateful for you.
Yeah. So come hang out with us, subscribe, press the like button, and share us with your friends. And we look forward to connecting with you on our next video. Hugs to you all.